Welcome back to Up the Villa, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We want you guys at home to drop your thoughts for your dream Aston Villa transfer. Realistic, unrealistic, we don't care. We want a dream signing to play for Aston Villa. The player has to be a current footballer. So we can't go for someone who's retired or an old schooler. It's got to be a current player. And how this general topic came about, we were just having a general chat today. We were chatting about a footballer and realistic, unrealistic. And then we thought, do you know what? Let's do an episode on that topic. So we want you guys to share your thoughts, smash a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Joined by Justin again. How are you, mate?
Excellent. Just can't wait for the new season. First friendly this week. Can't wait.
Yeah, so we'll chat about the main topic in a second, but we'll get a couple of things out of the way first. We did an episode a couple of days ago chatting about Philogene coming back to Aston Villa, and then we did another sort of one after that. And we spoke about Diaby stay or go, and we got on the topic of where needs strengthening, what positions we feel like need to be strengthened before the season starts. And the big one that we discussed was a midfielder coming in. And then a day later, Onana drops. Onana is pretty much in. He's on holiday at the minute. Justin, thoughts on Onana?
It was a nice one out of the blue, that was, wasn't it? I love an out of the blue signing, I really do. Woke up the other morning and there it was, all over the usual suspects, the ones that you trust and the ones that you know mean business. And that, I think it was basically a done deal by the look of it. Perfect. I do honestly think it's it's potentially a perfect signing for us. Lots of talk on Twitter and he's that's Douglas Luiz's replacement, and then people saying, oh no, he's more of a Kamara replacement, or Kamara's going to sort of get in ahead of him. But I don't think so. I think he's going to play alongside Kamara. That's how I see it, and I think he's a perfect style and type of footballer that will fit in with what we want. One of the big problems we had last season was this defensive sort of too many goals conceded, and we wasn't strong in the middle of the park. And I think at set plays at times we offensively and defensively we struggled a bit. So I think it's a good sign. It covers a lot of bases. He's only 22. I think he's only going to get better. I think a lot of the Everton fans are sort of saying, "Oh, we're glad he's gone. It's good money for him." Then I've heard other ones saying, "But he's got a massively high ceiling, and in a better team with a better coach, you're going to see a much better version of him." And I think in the Euros, he was very, very good as well. So I think overall, it's a really, really good signing, and he'll add a lot of power and strength. And
That's
I always remember
word.
I always remember when Patrick Vieira went into Arsenal, and he was a game-changing signing for them because they needed somebody to sit in the middle of the park and just dominate, absolutely dominate. And I'm not saying he's going to be Patrick Vieira because he's one of the all-time great Premier League centre midfielders. He could do everything, get forward, score goals, dictate play, loves the battle, loved the tackle, great in the air, defensively, getting forward, had the lot. So if he can get anywhere near that kind of ability and style, he's going to be a really good signing for us.
Yeah. Oh, I just see him being ultra competitive in them Champions League games. That's where I keep picturing him just standing out for me. So, Onana, fantastic signing. So, I mean, the weird thing about it is, you could have looked at the start of the window and I'd have probably said, one of my dream signings could have been Onana. Me and Earl did the episode and we were speaking about Onana being, a high ceiling player that we could try and attract to come to Aston Villa. And now we're going to chat about dream signings. And then probably the names that we mentioned, aren't even that difficult for Aston Villa to get. That they're probably, would be difficult to get, but it's not like back in the day where we get linked with a player and it's sort of like we've got absolutely no chance whatsoever of convincing them to come to Aston Villa. So, I've got a saying that is stuck on my desk and has been on my desk since Unai said it. And the phrase is no limits to our dreams. And those are the words from Unai Emery's mouth. And if that saying doesn't epitomise where we are and what we are and where we're trying to get to, it doesn't. There's nothing else that matters because he's told us to dream about the highest accolades. So it's an area that I'm just buzzing about. So I'm going to let Justin go first. I think you've got two. I think you said so. Kick it off with your first one then. A dream signing for Aston Villa.
I think it's an obvious one, to be honest, after the Euros he's had. And I think with the talk of Diaby going, I think he's the perfect player for us, Nico Williams.
Yeah,
I just think if you're talking dream signings and a player that will elevate us to another level, and we've got a lot of good players at Villa now, and a lot of players that potentially are game-changing players, and hopefully next season the likes of Bailey can kick on again. Watkins, was incredible. If you threw a Nico Williams in to our team, then it could be another absolute game changer.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was. Do you know what I felt like with him though? I felt like going into the Euros, there was going to be like a lot of hype on him, which rightly so. And I didn't know whether he would be able to deliver at that level, live up to the hype. And he lived up to the hype plus more. That goal he scored against England, that finish in the final was brilliant. It was on his weaker foot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a fantastic finish. He was dangerous. He was such a threat. He would slow it down and then he'd go. But his awareness, do you know what as well that really impressed me? He's not like Doku. So, like when you watch Doku for Man City, and he's literally like one trick every time, byline, speed stat, wants to go past. He's not like that. He can slow it down and just play that nice little pass backwards, or he's so clever. So I think he's unbelievable. And there's talk of Barcelona. Would we stand any chance? Like any chance in a realistic world?
But Barcelona aren't the team that they were a few seasons ago. They are on a sort of rebuilding phase of their history. And, they're obviously a huge club, aren't they, in Spain? And they are one of the two clubs in Europe that most players aspire to play for at some point. And I think Madrid are a bit ahead of them now. They look at the type of players that are going to Madrid now. It's going to be difficult to catch them over the next couple of 3 seasons. But I think a player like Nico Williams, a club like Barcelona coming for you, it's hard to say no to them. So the fact we're even considering that we could even potentially be in that conversation shows where we are at as a club. And two key factors are money, which I think the Diaby money would then free up the ability to probably put something to him at the very least. Say, look, we're very serious. We want to win things now. We're going for big trophies now over the next 3 or 4 seasons. And at your age, the squad we're building, but the big one is the manager. That's the big one. That's the clincher for me. You get there with Unai Emery and a financial package and showing them what we've done over the last 18 months, 7th, 4th, Champions League. There's not a lot more people that really good European footballers now would want to tick off on their want list. I want to play European football. I want to play the very best European football. He's not going to want to play Conference League next season. He wants to play in the big leagues. We can offer that. Can you match my wages? We can offer that. Have you got a good coach? We can offer that. You know, our big's your club, one of the biggest in England. We can offer that. He would be adored at Villa Park. Everything ticks off. We're just probably the only thing going against us is we're a little bit early in our evolution of a top club to maybe get that deal done. That's not to say I don't think we're capable, but I think if we were 2 or 3 years into qualifying season in, season out for the Champions League, I think that we would be a very, very serious place for him to come and play football. It might be just a season too early, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right with that. But I think what a sign of how far the club's come. Like, I've been listening to Toffee TV today, and they've been talking about Onana to Aston Villa, and they're sort of saying like, we're envious of Aston Villa now. We want our club to be like Aston Villa. We want to have a manager. We want to just be where they are, and I think it's as a Villa fan now, it feels weird hearing people say that because we're living and breathing like the absolute dream under Unai Emery, and now teams are thinking, God, I want to be like them. But then they were also saying, like, when we get our new owners, we want to follow their model of how they've got there, and it's like that is absolutely mental to hear fans like talking like that. But I think that's where we are now, and I think we aren't sort of like that team anymore that sort of we go in for a player and people have to like name check us or name check who our manager is or name check who plays for Villa. I think we're now sort of like, oh, it's Villa, like the proper
I think
Villa.
It's when you get to that point where clubs fans are talking about you like that, you know you haven't made it because we haven't won anything yet, but we are now serious threat to the top four. We're a serious proposition for players to come to us, and it's a bit, I don't know, a bit like when Wolves were really good about 2 or 3 years ago. I sort of had to stop hating them because I thought, you know what, you're just doing it really well. You've got a really good coach. You've got some really good players. You're pushing Europe now. You've just got to, at some point, go, fair play, you know, you're doing it right. And that's where we are now. Clubs are looking at us going, yeah, they're a good team. They're a really well-run club. They've got some amazing players. You know, we can't, it's not a one-season wonder thing. They are going to be seriously competing now at the top level, and it's wonderful. It's just absolutely bloody wonderful.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like if you actually look at our window at the minute and you think, you know, you actually step back and think, God, who have we signed then? Maatsen. I mean, I sometimes forget we've even signed him because I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him with Monchi. I haven't seen him with Emery because he's been at the Euros. But that one to me has gone slightly under the radar, and even I sort of keep thinking, oh, we got Maatsen. You know, that's a massive transfer in itself. And then you think, Onana. Well, he was linked with Arsenal. He was linked with Barcelona. He's been linked with Man United. All these top-end clubs are linked with him. And Aston Villa have been the team that have signed him at the age of 22. So that is huge. And I've spoke about this during this window, that average age of this Villa team needs to go right back down to the other end of the scale. And I think what you get is when you're signing players on sort of like a 5-year contract, it's just massive, really. You know, Onana, if he stays till the end of his contract, he's going to be 27.
Yeah.
Now, that's the prime of his career, 27, 28, 29.
I think it's a really important point you've made, and something that has to be addressed is the age profile of the squad. You can't build a dynasty with 30-year-old players. You just can't, because you can have to, at some point, replace 8 players of your starting 11. So this summer's recruitment drive has been basically recruiting young players, and I know most of them, up to barring probably Maatsen and Onana, they're all squad players you would class as, really, that are trying to get into the team. So that, you know, Dobben, Ealing Jr., Biday's coming back, Nedeljkovic, you know, being in and around the first team squad. They're all really good young players, but they're not starters. So I think Onana and Maatsen are coming in as young players, but they're going to be really starters, really, aren't they? In and around the starting 11. It's huge. And I think this window is built lovely to the point where we are at now. We said it the other day that it's big boy signing time now. It's getting the key components of that 11. Yeah, but it's getting the real game changers in there, the ones that are going to make a difference from day one. If you threw in the Djokovic in, if Cash got injured tomorrow and we didn't sign another right back and the window's shut, you're chucking a young kid in, you're left with Cash or you're left with the Djokovic or Kane Kessler-Hayden, who's been given a new contract. And you're thinking, oh dear, but we're now looking at players who will be pushing for that first team berth. They come in, they go, right, I want to play, I'm going to play. And I think there's still one or two positions that are hugely up for grabs. And I think there's still one or two big signings to come. I really do.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about my big signing, the player that I would love and dream about coming to Aston Villa, and I don't think anyone will think this now. I don't think. See the thumb. I've already done the thumbnail, so this player is on the thumbnail.
Is it actually going to sign him?
No, I don't know. No, I don't. No. But I'd love it if we did. And
give me a clue.
Well, I'm going to tell you it is. So it is Julian Alvarez. Now, I think he would be so good behind Ollie Watkins because his finishing is unbelievable for Man City. His awareness is brilliant. He looks to me like, well, he wants to leave, doesn't he? He wants to leave Man City because he's not getting much game time at all. And if he was to stay in the Premier League, you'd probably have the usual suitors of Chelsea in for him. And I couldn't really see him going anywhere else in the Premier League, to be fair. But what an opportunity for him to come to Villa. And I just think he would be so good. And I think he'd suit how we play as well. He could play on a wing or he could play behind Watkins. So what are your thoughts on Alvarez? And I'll put his stats on the screen.
I'm pretty sure we were linked with him before he went to City, wasn't we? A couple of times.
We were, yeah.
Well, to be honest, I've sort of written down the areas of the team where I still think we need to look at. And the obvious one, with the two players that are looking like they're leaving, Duran and Diaby, is the forward to winger / attacking midfielder area. And I think I said this on the group chat earlier, that is the type of player. And you basically hit the nail on the head with the type of player I said earlier, that we need a player that is capable of playing all of those roles. So he can play as a striker. He can play in the 10. He can play one of the wide positions. I know he hasn't really played as a winger for City, but I think as we play a slightly different style to City, if you look at his heat map and the sort of really red area there, sort of lower down, that is sort of what you could class that as, like where Bailey sort of plays, couldn't you? Or where McGinn plays, or, off the front, but in an attacking sense. And I think, profile-wise, he really would fit the bill. My only concern with it as a signing is the reason he wants to leave Man City is because he probably wants to go and be the main man somewhere. He feels he's good enough, and he's good enough to lead the line and be the striker for a club. So I think he'd want to go somewhere where he's probably guaranteed to be the main man up front. Would he get that at Villa? No. Would he get more game time at Villa than he does at City? Yes, I think he would. If his form was good and he played, fairly close to his best most of the time, I think he'd be hard to leave out. But he's a very interesting player. The other problem would be, how much would he cost?
Probably quite a lot. But I've seen as well that Alvarez has. I've seen a quote from what he said, and he said that he wants Man City to value him at a reasonable price, so teams can afford him. So I think he actively wants to. I think he's been offered a new contract and he hasn't signed it. So for me, that is one that I think that I would love. Like we're not on here now saying these are realistic. We're saying our dream signings. So
Yeah.
and we're just trying to make that aware. So have you got another one, or did you just pick one?
Well, I was trying to think out of the box a little bit. I was trying to think of a position where we need a player, and this is going to be a little bit out the box. So bear with me. We have got the best goalkeeper in the world.
Yeah.
We all know that. Absolutely. Categorical. He's won another major trophy. I think the stat is that he's won more trophies now than he's lost games with Argentina, which is just ridiculous. So, nailed down number one. Right. The problem we have got at Villa is whenever he doesn't play, or whenever we need to rest him, nobody's got any faith in Olsen. Now, I've always tried to back Olsen because I hate throwing any of our players into the bus. And I think he's all right. But I'll say this now. I think we need to replace our backup goalkeeper. And I think Gauchi potentially could be a very, very good Premier League keeper. But I don't know if he's quite ready to take the mantle of backup keeper. So I did a bit of research today. And it's a bit of a strange one because when I did my research on him, I actually had forgotten that he hadn't got a club. And he hadn't had a club for a little bit now. So that's the only sticking point.
I knew you were going to say.
So what about bringing David De Gea in?
I knew as soon as you said he hadn't got a club, I knew that was coming.
Well, I knew he left Man United last summer, and I know that he didn't get a club. And I hadn't, to be honest, he just got off my radar to the point where I thought, well, where did he end up? And I'm reading a little bit about him today. He's sort of contemplating retirement now because he's only 33. That's not old for a goalkeeper of his ability. And he's sort of hinting, and whether it's his agent talking, that unless he gets a deal to be number one somewhere at a decent club, then he's probably going to knock it on the head. But I think for a one-off season, for a 12-month contract, at the stature of club we are now, where we're at, would he fancy another crack at the Premier League as a backup keeper? I think we'd have a lot more faith, let's put it like that, in David De Gea coming in than we would with Olsen. No disrespect to Olsen. That was my little bit of trying to think outside the box.
Yeah, no, I like it. You've brought me back now in my head to an area that I'm thinking we need something in this window. I think keeper wise, but
it's a critical point, isn't it?
Yeah,
because as we know, last season, not tempting fate, but what happened at the start of last season, if that happens to one of our key players and up top and in goal, God help us if anything happened to either of them players, we'd be deep in it. If you had a De Gea in the ranks, you would pretty much say, okay, that's good for a season.
Yeah, I think you spot on with the keeper. Because the other thing is, we kind of don't just need a shot stopper, do we? We need somebody who can play. We need somebody who can play with the ball at their feet. And I think we've seen that with England at the Euros, the fact that we don't play possession-based football with the goalkeeper. We just kick it long every time and we end up having an absolute disaster. So, yeah, great show. My last one, I got two. And this one is like a wild one as well. And to be fair, watching the Euros made me just think how good of a player he is, and he's up for grabs. But I'd say this one's, I don't know which one would be more realistic, Alvarez or Olmo. He was class, man. He was so good, and like you mentioning about like the low block and getting through the low block and. Their touch in tight spaces, their vision, their ability to just pick a pass, and the touch and the quality was just exceptional from Olmo. So that was another one for me that I've watched him and I've just thought you are absolutely quality. So I think we're both agreeing that it's sort of like the striker attacking area. That's where I think me and you are, aren't we, Justin?
Yeah, weirdly, as just before I was coming on this pod, we was having a similar chat on another group chat I've got, and my mate Mike, I'll give him a shout out, Mike Reed. I've read out his tweet, Luke. He must think very much similar to you. Olmo is my dream signing. And I said, and my reply to him was, and I'll say this to you: do you think he's just one of those tournament players that just suddenly has a wonderful tournament, gets a big move, and then can't quite replicate that form at the bigger club? Now, I know he's at Leipzig, so it's a good club anyway. And then he's sort of backed up his thinkings with his ratings, and he's attacking midfield, centre forward, midfield. He's really, his stats pretty much bear out that he's not this isn't a one-off when he went into this tournament, not a good tournament. He's coming off the back of a very good season, which got him the call up, and he's had a really good tournament. So it probably is time maybe to make that move and go somewhere, where he could maybe really make a name for himself. At 26, he's coming towards the peak years of his career. So it could be time for him to say, you know what, off the back of this really good tournament, I'm going to use it as a springboard to get to a really big club.
Yeah, I mean,
it'll be interesting. I don't think he finishes. I don't think he stays there anymore. I think he leaves there. It'd be interesting to see where he ends up.
Yeah, I think he definitely moves in this window. Man City were linked, but they've sort of said they're not going for this now. I mean, he's rated 79 attacking, 83 creative, 75 technical, just turned 26, right-footed, heat map, plays on that right-hand side, so he's playing on that sort of Diaby role. Not too many goals last season, 4, but his assists, he got 5. Just a creativity machine. And yeah, you're right in what you're saying. Like, he has had a brilliant tournament, but I think sometimes that it can be like the reincarnation of a player, can't it? Really. So that would be mine. Very attacking, Spanish. So we've got that connection again with Emery and etc. So those are ours. That's what we've both gone for. But it'd be great to hear what you guys would pick at home and who you're picking, what position. So have some fun with it. It's not meant to be really serious. It's the transfer window. It's pre-season.
I did have one more, but that was just for the right. The only other position I've written down was right back if Cash went, and that was Frimpong. I think everyone would love him though, wouldn't they?
Yeah, he was. He didn't really play too much at the Euros. But he's playing more of a right wing for Netherlands. The games that I've seen him play. So
so he'd be an interesting one.
Yeah, he would be really good. So Justin, Warsaw tomorrow, Wednesday. How are you feeling? Back in action.
Warsaw. I put a TikTok out this afternoon saying that when you know you're off to Warsaw, you know that pre-season will be good. Yeah, I can't wait. I love that little trip down the road to Warsaw. It's always a pretty laboured, slow friendly, isn't it? They're just getting, a bit of something into their legs, really, aren't they? You see a lot of the young kids playing the half a game each and stuff. But it's just nice to see them. It's just nice to see them again. It's like seeing the family I haven't seen for ages. I'll go out and sit in the stands, just sitting looking at them all, thinking, "Oh, I've missed you lot." Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
it feels like Christmas.
It feels a bit like regging towards the start of the season. You're starting to sort of plan your season, aren't you? You know the people that you go to the games with. You're having your conversations, and we've all pretty much renewed our tickets now. We're still waiting for that bloody kit to come out. So we've all got a bag of money that we want to spend on that kit and training stuff. And I'm going to look like Tony Pulis. I am when that kit comes out. I know the cap, shorts, Unai's clipboard. So yeah, I've been working behind the scenes anyway on the pod, and We've got all of our sort of branding, what we're going to be doing for the new season as well, ideas. We've got, so we're ready and raring to go. So, yeah, looking forward to it. And like you say, just looking forward to seeing the players back. So, right, cheers everyone for watching. Up the Villa.